Hello and welcome to your 7th Java programming tutorial. I am Evan, and in this tutorial I will mainly talk about the methods, how you can use a method inside a class, inside another class, and as well as how to overload a method. So before even going to methods, I will go over the homework that I left last time. So first, let's take a look at the first problem. So here I have several variables, a string variable, a double for the student scores, and letter grades A, B, C, D, or F. And also this exit option, it will be when the system asks me to exit, I type yes, and then this will be checked for yes, and then it will exit the program. So let's start in the while loop. So while true, so you know this is an infinite loop. So within that loop, I will prompt the user to input the student name, and then I get an input.next. So this is only for one line and without a space. So this is that, and input the student score. So I input the student score. This can be a double or it can be an int, and it doesn't really matter. And inside here, I'll have a series of if statements. So if student score is greater than or equal to 90, and then you will assign the A to the student score string. So that's this one, the letter grade string. And next one, the else if. So the difference between the if, a bunch of ifs, and ifs, else if, is that if you have the else if the first one is true, then it will skip the rest of them. But for the if, it will check every single if there it is. So else if, only check for one of them. If one satisfied, it will exit the complete if statements. But for other ifs, it will go through every single if. So in here, I get the student score that I got inputted. And then if it is greater than 90 or equal to 90, it will assign A to the letter grade, and so on and so forth. And then if it's not greater than 60, we'll give it an F automatically. So after that, I will have the output be plus equal, add whatever you have here to the existing output string that you have. So student name plus the student name that the user input, and then the score, and then what score they input, and then the letter grade, and determined by what the user is input. And then do a next line after the first you inputted this. So next, do you want to exit now? So if I type in yes, it will exit the program and print out the result. If no, then the value will continue. So I will get the input.next. And then this is a new one. So exit option, you know that string is a reference variable. It have a class called string, and inside the class it have the dot to lowercase. So if I have this thing dot to lowercase, you will convert the string into a lowercase. So if I type in yes, I will do a demonstration. If the letter is yes or yes, so it will all convert to the lowercase yes. And then I will check it with one condition, that's with all lowercase yes. And then the dot equals is just comparing this value, typing yes or no to convert this value with this value. If they're equivalent, then it will break the loop, it will break the while loop, and then it will print out the output. So in this case, I'm comparing the two strings. I said it before that those two are reference variables. They can point to different memory address, but when you use the dot equal sign, that's the correct way when you can compare two strings. That's the only way that you can compare two strings. So keep that in mind. So dot equals, you can replace this as the double equal sign for the integers. If you compare two integers, use the double equal sign. If you compare two strings, use dot equals. This is the correct way. So if the user input anything other than yes, it will continue the loop to enter a new student. So now let's take a look inside the IDE. Enter the student name, say Evan, student score, let's put 90. So do I want to exit now? No. So input another name called, what do we name the other name? Called Sherry. So student score, 70. And do you want to exit now? I type yes, and then it will print out all the info that I have. So after it print out the student name, following by the name, score, following by the score, letter grade, following by a letter grade, and then it will print out a new line. So this will return it to a new line, and then after that it will print out the second person. this is a good way to manipulate your strings. So this is it for the first program. Now let's go on to the second program. Let's delete this. And I'm going to copy it from my second lesson. So this one is fairly simple, I believe. Am I missing something? Oh, missing my main method. Okay. So there are 3 for loops. So the C will go on the fastest, and then the B will go on the second fastest, and then the A will go on the slowest. So how this works is that when A equal to 1, B equal to 1, C equal to 1, does it make this true? So if A squared plus B masked out power B squared equals to masked out power of C squared, then you will print this out, and then it will loop again. So C becomes 2, and then check this again. If it's yes, then print it out. And when the C goes 100 times, B becomes 2, and then loop the C equal to 1 again, C equal to 2, C equal to 3, C equal to 4. And then when the B goes up to 100, the A becomes 2. So 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 3. And when the A loops 100 times, it will exit the program. So let's save this and run this. So you will see that A is going the slowest, and then the B is the second slowest, and the C is the fastest. So your C will always see the highest number first, and then your A, because your A is on your most outer loop, you will go on the slowest, because every 100 iteration B will increase by 1. When 100 iteration of B, then A will increase by 1, and so on and so forth, and it will print out every single one. Now this is everything that you're going to have for your homework. Now let's go on to today's lesson. We'll talk about the methods or a function in the C family. So C or C++, they call it function, but in Java it will call it methods. So they're interchangeable, so I will use method more than functions because Java called it methods. But if I mistakenly says function, then just keep in mind that it's a method, so they're the same. So there are sometimes you want to reuse a block of code for something else, but you only need to write it once. This is called a method because you can invoke a method over and over again. So invoke or use or reuse is all the same. So without rewriting the code each time you use, this provides a modularity to your program as well as a more clean code for both you and the other programmers. So keep in mind that whenever you use a method, use it. Whenever you can, you use it. Don't try to put everything in mean method. So this is the mean method. And another trick is that when you cannot describe your method within one sentence, keep on breaking into smaller segments. So I refer to one sentence as one complete idea and nothing more. So if there's something else that goes on into your method, then you will keep on breaking down into smaller pieces. Then the more detail each method you can have, the better you can reuse your code. So I will now show a demonstration of method. So this is your main method. So and these curly braces will end here. So now I will select all and press Ctrl+I. It will auto indent it for me. So that will make it more organized. So I will delete everything in here, the for loop. And now I will create a new method called public static void print hello world parentheses curly braces. And inside the curly braces, I will go system.out.println that's double quotes hello world. I'm using the same example over and over again, but you will get the point. So public is a global accessor that can be accessed by any class. So if I have another class, then I can also use that class to call or use or invoke this method. So if I have a open source browser .java, that's the one class, I can have another class that can call the same method here. It will not be blocked by any restrictions. So now static is the non-object oriented classifier, means that it will not be different each time you call the objects. So this one will be easy to see when we get to object-oriented programming. But for now, you will just leave it as static. In the object-oriented programming, you will not have static here. So after that will be the void. this part is very important, the following part. The void means that this method does not return any values, which means that when you call this method, it will execute inside there, and then this method is done. It does not give back any value. I will show you a return statement later when you need to return the value to continue calculating. So after the void is a name of your choice, like naming variables. This is a naming a method. So print hello world. That's my name, so you can have any name here. So inside the parentheses, now I have empty parentheses. But inside the parentheses should be your parameters, which is what you will need within this method. For now, this method only have a print statement. It does not require any parameters, so leave it as a blank parentheses. So when you have parentheses, inside here the parameters is that when you want to input a value, that's I get it from the main method. If the main method require me to calculate a maximum or minimum, then I will need a required value into my parameters. So inside the parentheses, there should be parameters, but I will show you later how those parameters work. So inside the curly braces is all what you want to execute. But right now, if I want to run this, nothing will show up. Because inside your main method, as I said before, everything will be executed through main method. But inside your main method, there's nothing in there. So you need to invoke this method. Call this print hello world, and then put a semicolon there. So save this and then execute. So that will show you the result of the method that you're having here. So this way the main method knows you're actually using the method. So void means that return nothing. Now let's return something here. I will create a string called this string, and then put it equal to double quotes hello world semicolon there. And then inside here, I want to change the void to string, so I will return a string variable here. So return string, so return this variable, and I'll just probably name this into another variable. So a string in method. This is probably a more clear way to return this. So this one, I have a return type of string, and I have a name for my method. In here, I have a variable named a string in method, and then I assign hello world to this variable, and then I return this variable. So what this does is that this return whatever's in here into this method. So this method in the main, it will treat it as the string here. So it will return this. So this method now act as a string here. So inside here, if I run this, it will not output anything. So what you want is to system.out.println parentheses, ending parentheses, and then run this. Now you will see hello world. So if I change this to hello world, I am Evan, and run this again, so it will change it in here, and then your output will also change. So in this case, system.out.println inside here should be a string, right? So this string was getting this data value from here, and then this method, it will have a return of a string. So I get a return of string, and then this method act as a string, and then after I do that, I go system.out.println, it will print out the string inside the method. So to do something else, method can return any data type that's primitive types. So like int, double, string. So string is a reference type, but it's also included inside the return statement, and it also works. So if I have this as a integer, int, then have a string, delete this, int a, int a equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, semicolon, and return a. And then when I print this out, it will show me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the same thing for int, double, string, and all those stuff. Now I want to do something interesting with the parameters. So now you don't have any parameter here, so your parentheses are empty. If I want to use parameters, so I will just show you examples, so it will make it more clear. I will use int, use int for this. Int a, int b. So I will take in two parameters, and then I will have an int sum equals a plus b, semicolon. And then I will return my sum here. This case, it will be a bit interesting. Inside your main class, you will call the print hello. I should probably just rename this. More confusing. Sum. So inside here, I will have sum with parentheses. I should not use prompt. So inside the parentheses, you have two parameters that you have to input. So inside here, when it's a placeholder, it's called a parameter. But when you have the min method where you can input your actual code, your actual value, it's called an argument. So for A, I will put 5. And my B, I'll put 8 to 6. I'll put 6 there. And then semicolon there. So what this does is that when you call the sum method, it takes in two parameters. It will take in 5 as A and then 6 as B. And then it will calculate the sum. My sum is assigned to be the sum of A plus B, and then I will return the sum. So now this method will have a value that's integer with a value of the sum. That's the sum of A and B. So right now, if I want to system.out.println, I'll print this out. Now let's see what happens. So 11. So I find the sum of 5 and 6, and then I add them together, I return the sum, and then I print it out. So that is how you use a parameter, and also the arguments. So argument is your real value, parameter is a placeholder. You can have as many parameters as you have, as long as you have a same amount of arguments that's inside your main method. And to keep in mind that the integer or variables that you declare inside this scope of variables, it can only be accessed by this method only. So if I have a call int c equals 5, so if I want to a plus c, it will give me an error because it's not resolved to be a variable, because c is inside your main method, and then your a and b is inside your sum method. Inside your sum method, those variables are the only variable that you can have. So a and b are okay, but c is not okay. It cannot reach between two methods. So that is a false. And anything you create after the method will be usable within that scope of variable only. So this is a scope. This is another scope. So if I want to access by all those methods, you can declare a variable above that, public static int c equals 5. So in this case, I can add c. It will not give me an error because this is a class variable. This is a method that's a local variable. It will not be accessed from other methods. So this one, class variable, those are local variable. So global variable or class variable, and those are local variable. Keep in mind for that, so you don't get messed up and make the variables not reachable from each other. Now that's okay. So after you know how to input into other methods, you can do something very creative. Now let's input a scanner to determine which number is bigger and which number is smaller. So that would be pretty easy. So scanner input equals new scanner system.in. Inside there, I have int first number equals input dot next int, and int second number equal input dot next int. And then I will find which one is bigger and which one is smaller. So I will find the sum, not the sum, the find max of two integers. So inside here, find max of my first integer and also my second integer as my arguments. Inside here, I will do if statement. If A is greater than B, return A, and then else return B. Don't forget your semicolon. save this, and then I want to system.out.println. This will only give me a value for int for finding the max, but it does not print it, so I have to cut this, paste in here, and write something descriptive. This is a max between first number plus double quote and plus second number plus equals plus. So just make it more organized. So I will run this for now. I'll input my first number 10, input my second number 4, and press enter. So this is the max between 10 and 4, and then it's equal to 10. So 10 is the max. Now we return A if the A is bigger than B, and then this method, the find max method, will have a data type of a integer. So the system will treat this as an integer, this whole thing as an integer, and it will print out from the system out.println. Now, if I want to be more organized, I can put this into all in another class. So inside your source, your default package, inside here, right click, new class, call this comparison. For class, it will be the first one to be capitalized, the opposite of a variable. Now in here, leave everything else blank and finish. So inside here, I can create my method called public static int find max int A int B. Inside here, I will do the same thing. If parentheses A bigger than B, A, and return A, else return B. So this is finished. I will also do a find minimum. Same concepts. Min and less than. So here is the trick. I'll not delete this because this one is not useful for us anymore. So now find max, there's an error because it does not know that we have a second class called comparison. You have to use the class name comparison dot find max. So now they will recognize this method. So this is a find max. Now copy this whole thing and you say this is the minimum between the first number and second number, comparison dot find min. So you will always take those two parameters, and then when I run this, 140. So the maximum between 140 is 100, and then the other one's 40. So when you want to call it from another class, you will use the class name dot what function you have. So you still remember mass.py. So there's a mass class, and then inside the class there's a method called py, and then this is the one that you used. So without those parentheses, but still they are actually almost the same thing. Now there's this problem. If I want to find those two integers, so what if I input a double? It will give me an error, right? So let's make this into a double. Make this into a double. Change this. So now you have doubles and you will get an error. Method find int is not compatible for double. So what if you want to input double for your int methods? So now without creating a new method, with a different name, you can use the same name. So this one is where you want to recognize this part. So data type following by your method name within the parameters. This whole thing, this thing is called a method signature. What a method signature is that when you have a different data type, return type, and then a same name, and with the different parameters, you are automatically matching the exact one that you want. So if I have a copy this, paste. So if I want a return a double, and then this is a double A, double B, it will not give me an error because those two return two different data types, and then they have parameters that are different. So in this case, it will enable the user to input both an integer or a double, so it will not give you an error. That's less likely to give you an error. So now the first one, the find max, this error will be gone because inside here you have the method overflowing. So what overflows is that different data types, return data types, and then also a different parameters. It will give you more flexibility towards what the user can input into your method. And same thing for the next one, I can use another copy this and then change this to doubles, double, and also double. So in this case, both of them will be error free. Now let's run this. 10, 25, 24.5, and then it will give me a number that ends inside double. It will return the double to me, and then I will print it out, and it will be error free. Now, if I want to change this to int, it will still work without any problems. Because I have method overflowing, those two, the compiler will choose the best one between those two, which one to use. So if your user is kind of not nice and use one int and one double, this time the compiler will choose the two doubles, because if one double exists and then the other double does not exist, it will convert the int into a double. But the int, if it's double int, it will not be compatible because one of them is double and an int cannot hold a double. So this is how you do a method overflowing. Now I'll give you two problems for the homework. Now the first one will be look like this. Number 1. So gave 3 test scores. I want the average of 2 test scores, all input by user, and use methods instead of stacking them all in min method. The second problem is that print out a sentence backward. So this one seems to be not hard, but you will need several methods that I did not taught you. So first one, since question 2 is something I have not taught you before, why not talk about it right now? So we know that string is a reference type variable. It has its own class. Inside the class, there are methods, and one of the methods is called length. So delete this. I have a string s equals to I love pizza. Now if I want to system.out.println of the s.length, so s.length is give you the amount of character that's within this string. So if I want to execute this, there are 12 characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 characters, and then the first index is 0, and then the ending in index 11. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 10, 8 9, 10, 11, and then it ends at 11. So, which leads me to the second method inside the string. So in the string still here. Now I want to get a p. So 0. So I want to get a character p. So I want to get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7th character. So system.out.println s dot character at, and then inside this character it will be a number, integer number, and then this number I want to get p, and then I set 9, I believe. So when I want to run this, oops, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh yes, 7. So run this, it will give me p, and this one is just to give me the character at index whatever it is in here. So I want to get the last character. That will be easy. You want to system.out.println s.character at s.length -1. So I have a lot of things going on here. So s.character at, I want to get a character, and then what character will it be? It will be the s.length. That will be 12. Just only 12 characters, but it starts from index 0. So 0 all the way up to 11. So the length will have to -1 to get my last character. That's how this works. Length -1 will always be your last character. So let's save this and run this. You'll get my A, the pizza, the A. So with this and the loop, you will be able to get your second problem without any problems. So print out a sentence backwards. So now, after you finish those two problems, I will teach you a thing inside your Eclipse that's actually very useful. So go to Windows, Preference, go in there and go to Java, click on arrows, and go into Editor, click on arrows. Now inside there, Content Assist. Do not click on the triangle, click on the Content Assist, and in here, the auto activation triggers for Java. Now input it from dot /ABCD all the way up until Z and all those special characters, and click OK there. So now when you type several letters, it will prompt you for everything that you can possibly type. So public, static, public, class, and it will always prompt you for what to input. Public, static, void, main. So for some of them, like especially for the modifier and the accessors, it will not be prompting. I don't know why. String args, and for this I have the system.out.println. So inside this one, I'll just fix a small error. I have to use my class name, of course. So system.out.println, I have a better way to write this. So sysout, and then press enter. It will give you system.out.println. It will be automatic. So sysout, system.out.println. So that will be a shortcut way. But if you don't want to use the prompt, that's totally fine. I understand that you want to learn your code, and I would strongly suggest that you don't use this prompt. I just tell you because there is this functionality inside Eclipse. So this is it for this tutorial. I go over the last homework. I talk about how the methods work, how they input a number inside your method and then return another number. I also talk about how you can use scanner to compare different numbers to get minimum or max. And I also tell you how to put methods inside another class, as well as how to overflow a method. So until then, stay active, be happy, and plan algorithms. I'll catch you in the next tutorial.